Today I'm going to talk about how our weaknesses reveals our strengths. I'm going to be in I'm going to be in 2 Corinthians 12. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9 through 10. And strength, that's something that you always think of strength, you think of just physical strength, lifting weights, muscles, endurance. That's how you think of it. But what we're going to cover today is that your strength comes in about three different ways. You have mental, physical, emotional strength that I'm going to cover about how we overcome it, how we go through it, and how God reveals himself through it. Let me just open a word of prayer before we begin. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day you have given us, for all of us to be here, Lord Father, that you've just continued to be a blessing towards us, that you continue just to let us just seek into your word. Lord, I pray that you use me as a vessel to speak out to the crowd here, Lord Father. I pray for those of our church and the others that they have safe passages back home, Lord Father. And I pray that they had a blessed time there as we have a blessed time here, Lord Father. Thank you for all that you do. In your name I pray, amen. Amen. Paul says, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So my first point is, we like to think we're strong on our own. Self-strength. We're not. We are not. Reading this verse time to time, there's always something new I get from it. I need to know that when I am weak, I need to feel, I need to want, I need to have Christ's power inside of me. Because my weakness is when God's strength is revealed. And it's revealed in a way that we have to seek it. It's not just going to come. We have to acknowledge that God's strength is in us in those times of weakness. Because we try to go out there and gain knowledge on our own. You know, whether it's the internet, especially with the internet. I remember having to go to the library, reading encyclopedias or dictionaries to gain knowledge. But now you can just pull out your phone, bam, information is there. And you're trying to build, and that's where I'm going to say that you're trying to build a mentality of being strength and knowledge. You have people out there who are really, their strength is knowledge, gaining knowledge, being smart in whatever field they're at. Physically, they're not there, but that's that strength of mentality, or strength of the mental strength that they have. And when it comes down to it, the knowledge that we need can't be obtained by ourselves. Let me say that again. The knowledge that we need in this world, in this life, cannot be obtained through ourselves. The mentality of being strong is a way of this world. Your mentality of being strong is a way of this world. And I was thinking, what does that mean? When I said that, when I guess God was speaking to me, and I was just like, what does that mean? And what I got from that is that the mentality, I can do this myself. I can go out there, I can go lift weights, or I can go out there, I can go in this debate and do well on it. Or I can go out there and I can argue a point, or I can go out there and just do these things. I'm thinking, but that's my mentality of that I'm strong on my own will, my own self. But that's not true. That's not true. Let me give you an example. It's football season, or football season is about to end. You have these big, strong guys. I'm talking about 6'3", 4, 6'5", 6'6", 280 pounds, pure muscle, and they're strong. And these guys think they're unstoppable, they're strong, they're mighty, and they're smart because you have to know different plays, you have to know how to read the other person. And the thing is, like that, they could be done. Like that. An injury, something happens to your knee, your ankle, you're done. A lot of the things going on now is concussions, a head hit right here, you're done. And then all that strength that you had, that you worked hard for, is gone. Then what? Then what do you do? Then this is where I say that's that physical strength that I have. But once you find a weakness in that, once that weakness of your physical strength is there, what happens is that your mental weakness starts to form. Man, I'm helpless now. I can't do this now. I feel incapable of doing this. I'm not able to do this. And then you have the emotional. You feel emotional where you don't have the will to go on. You don't have the will to get up. You become a couch potato. You just want to sit there and do nothing because your knee hurts, or your leg hurts, your arm hurts. You don't want to cook. You don't want to do this. You just become basically lazy. You made yourself helpless. That's what you did. And the same way you made yourself strong, the same way you make yourself weak. And the one thing that's different, though, We know someone stronger than these football players. We know Jesus. And that's what's so deep about it, is that he endured a tremendous amount of pain during his time of his crucifixion. And I was thinking, man, it's not just the pain that he did. I think if I had a cut right now on my arm or my wrist, and they told me to go walk across the street, I would be devastated. I would be. But we're talking about Jesus, who was bleeding tremendously, a lot of blood, and they told him to walk miles, carrying a cross and still being tortured. And he still lived through that. I don't think there's anyone on this earth that could live through that.
That's right.
And also, he's going through that tremendous amount of pain, but he kept going. Jesus kept going. He kept going to fulfill that prophecy that was for him. And as he kept going, it wasn't just a physical weakness that he was enduring. I couldn't even know what he was thinking in his head. What kind of mental things were going on in his head was messing with him, trying to tell him he couldn't do it anymore or whatever. But through all of that, what I think was consistent through that consistent variable was God. He continued to rely on God through all that. And that's God gave him that peace to ease the mind that Jesus could get through all of this. And I'm going to use myself as an example. I've hurt my ankle plenty of times, but I'm going to go back to about, 6 years ago. I was on a diet plan. I was working hard and eating right and working out, and I sprained my ankle. And I'm like, man, what am I going to do now? Because I was on a good path. I'm like, you sprain your ankle, that really limitates you from doing anything. I was depressed. I was sad about it. I couldn't go about myself, but I knew I had to keep praying. I knew, because it's happened before, but I knew I had to keep praying. I had to keep praying to God. I had to rely on God. And I was like, man, I got to keep working though. I can't let this moment of weakness stop me. So as through that journey, I remember praying. I remember I was playing basketball, jumped, sprained my ankle. And the minute it happened, I was like, man. I sat in a room by myself with ice, just sitting there. No one around me. I closed the door so no one could come inside this gymnasium. I was just thinking, man, all these thoughts were going through my head. What am I going to do? I was doing good. I was doing well. How am I going to get through this now? This is going to set me back weeks because you have to take time to recover. You can't get back up on your ankle. You can't do this. And I was like, man, I don't know what to do. And then it was just, at that moment, I was like, I gotta keep trying, but I gotta also pray to God. I also gotta rely on God. And that's what Paul's telling us. He's saying, in your moment of weakness, God's strength is strong. It's powerful. It's there. And that's what happened. And every week I was losing about 3 to 4 pounds. And I was like, this week I'm not gonna lose anything. Nothing's gonna happen. But I decided to go to the gym, and what I could do was, get on a stationary bicycle. So I was doing that and lifting weights, and that was okay. I laid off my ankle and stuff like that. By the end of the week, when it was time, when I did my weigh-in, I had lost 5 pounds. I was like, okay, I couldn't lose 5 pounds when I was working out. I was jogging 3-4 miles every other day, and I only lost 4 pounds. Here I'm losing 5, and I was, I guess, handicapped. I couldn't really move, and I limited my amount of workout. My eating was all the same. I was like, how could this happen? And that's when it struck God. God through that, God's like, you know what? You trusted in me. I'll get you through that. I will get you through that. I know, and before that, I used to be worse. Before I actually start to understand this and actually take God's word and live it, it used to be worse than that. But that's when I realized that God's strength is so much greater in the moment of weakness. So what I learned from that, I can't think for myself. I can't be strong on my own. And that's what I want you to think about. You cannot be strong on your own. Don't go out there saying, I got this, I can do this. You can, but you will find a moment of weakness that's going to come get you. Second point is we have to understand we are only strong with Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And when you say that to someone that's of this world, that doesn't understand God, doesn't understand the Bible, they're like, well, that doesn't make sense. How are you strong when you're weak? But you see, because you have God and He's living in you, when you are weak, you are stronger because that's God's strength being existence in your life and showing out there. And that's how you are strong when you are weak. And I started to think more, but why can't I be strong in God and be strong in me? Why can't I be both? It doesn't work like that, because when you are strong, there's something that comes in the way, your pride. And in Psalms 10:4, it says, the wicked and his proud contestants does not seek God, God is in none of his thoughts. When you become prideful, God is not there. Why? Who's there? You. You're telling yourself, I got this. I can do this. It's I, me, 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 me. There is no God because your mind is telling yourself it's all on you. There is no God. And it's sad to say, but that pride will come and it will take you and it will get you going. And that happened to me again in sports. In sports, I remember there was a year I was doing really well. It was a tournament. I was out shooting really well. I was shooting the basketball really well. And for me, of my size, I'm not quick, I'm not agile, I can't even dribble the ball correctly. But what I can do is I can shoot. I made sure if there's one thing I can do in this sport, I can shoot the ball really well. And that's what I did. After that tournament, I went on and I guess I bragged about it. I said, oh yeah, I made X amount of three-pointers, I did this and I did that. I was telling people, and a couple months later, I sprained my ankle again. And when that happened, I was thinking to myself, man, that's when I use that, it's not God teaching me, but I'm going to use it as a lesson where God's showing me I can't live in a life of pride because that pride will be cut. And then what? What do I have to lean against? Nothing. I can't lean on myself because that pride is gone and my own strength is not enough. Who do I have to lean on? God. That's who I lean on. And through all the times I sprained my ankles, from the very first time to the last time, because I hope I'm never going to do it again, but to the last time, the realization was that at the beginning, I went through depression because of this sense of I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, I felt helpless, useless, I couldn't do things I enjoyed. So that's what happened. But as it progressed and God started to reveal himself more to me, I started to see I need to rely more on God in those times to get me through it. So I would sit there, but I also try to get up. I'll try to heal myself. I do more rehab. I try to do more exercise to strengthen that. So through all that, I've come to the realization that God will not only just come in there and let his strength be revealed, but he's going to take care of you. Just like the whole 5-pound thing, he took care of me in a sense like I'm not going to just give you strength, but I'm going to take care of this through it all. You're going to be taken care of. And it's just like the song, all you have to do is speak to God. All you have to do is speak to God. And how hard is that really though? How is that hard of a struggle for some people? It can't be said, but it becomes a struggle. And when that becomes a struggle, we have to really reevaluate ourselves. What's going on in our lives that's stopping us from talking to God? So my next point is that we have to be able to speak to God and accept that strength. It's one thing that he's there and it's in us, but it's another thing to accept it and to live it and to lean on it. It's there, just like God, but are you accepting it? Are you taking it in? That's what was going on with me before. I didn't take it. I didn't accept it. That's what goes on in a lot of people who, in sports and movies, they become prideful of themselves, but then they become so prideful that the pressure is real and everything, and then what happens, they come suicide because their mental stage is just all off and drugs and all these things. And I look at all the people that are famous in sports, but more than half of them end up dead through suicide or their abuse. They have some kind of substance abuse. I think, what's going on? They have almost everything, but they're leaving God out that picture. They have everything in this world. That's great. But see, for us, everything in this world is God. That's all we need. And there are plenty of people out there who do have God and have that. But the difference is that pride level. So we got to really learn not to get prideful and ahead of ourselves in that. My next point, how do we know God's strength is there when we are weak? How do we know God's strength is there when we're weak? It's just like, how do I know God is there when I'm praying for this, I'm praying for that, nothing happens. I don't feel it, I don't see it. How do we know it's there? You being here today, or you watching, or whatever it may be, being alive is more than enough proof of evidence that God's strength is evident in your life. Being alive right now is more proof, it's more evidence than anything, because it's showing that you continue to persevere through your life. You continue to push on, you continue to push forward, and you continue to rely on God through everything. Because I know when it comes to the point when you don't want to go through anything, you're done, then you wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't. You wouldn't rely on God. You'll be out doing things to fill in that void. But you're either here with God, you either have that relationship with God, and that's what keeps you through. And that's how I know, at least, that God's strength is there when I'm weak, because I'm going through each day relying on His strength, relying on His strength. Just like the whole sprained my ankle and I was still losing weight. Like, I knew that God was evident through all of that. I'll add another story to that. During that same time, my family took a trip to Hawaii. And I was thinking, oh man, this isn't gonna work. We're going to Hawaii. We're going to be eating. We're going to be doing this. How am I going? There's no gym there. What am I going to do? And I really prayed. I prayed hard that I could get through this. I really prayed because I was there for a week, and I was on a tight schedule where each week was something different. But that week, I was like, man, this is a vacation week. But you know, if you work out and you do that, there is no vacation really. You got to keep pushing. I keep striving. So I took every. I mean, when I went there, I ate okay, but I made sure I didn't eat too much. I didn't eat any of the bad stuff. I ate what was good. And then, since our hotel wasn't far from like the market, I'll tell my parents or my family, all right, I'm just gonna walk back. I'm gonna walk there. I'm gonna walk this instead or whatever. We did a lot. I made sure instead of taking the car from close distance, we walked. My cousins, we decided to explore the city that we were in, so we just walked around the whole city. I was like, yeah. Normally I would be like, nah, we're not gonna do that. This is too much walking. But I was like, I gotta keep pushing. I gotta keep pushing. I come back, I weigh myself that week. I told Andrea, I was like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe it. I lost 6 pounds that week. And I'm thinking, I'm on vacation and this happens. And then I believe she said, well, that's God. That's you praying to Him. And that is God. God does things that are so unfathomable, whether it's in your life or things that are even unexplainable in the Bible. And God's strength will continue to be there as you continue to rely and believe in Him. For it takes a lot more strength. It takes a lot more strength to be weak than to be strong. The flu season was going around. Flu season. When you hit that flu, when you hit that cold, you're in bed. Don't you feel really weak? You use every single ounce of strength just to get out of bed. Use every strength you can, get up just to go put on clothes, take a shower, get up out of bed, to go downstairs, upstairs, whatever it is. You use so much energy to do that. And to me, I was like, man, that's true. When I am weak, it takes me so much more strength just to go about my life. I know I had a bunch of coworkers who would try to come to work when they were sick. I'm like, everyone's saying, what are you doing? They look miserable, and they're just sitting there, and they're like, man, I'm trying to use every energy I got just to go through the day. I'm thinking in my head, you should be using every energy to stay at home in bed to rest. And that's when it comes to where we just have to rest. So next point is, when we find that moment of weakness, sometimes God's strength is just saying, hey, you just need to rest. You just need to rest. You don't need to worry about this, that. Just rest. And I've realized rest is a very important key to your health. Whenever I get my aches on my knees or my ankles, whatever it is, I tell Andrea, I just need 7 hours of sleep straight. I can't sleep 5, 4. I just need 7 hours of sleep, and I'll be okay. And then I go to sleep one night. I try to stretch my sleeping. Next day, I'm fine, because your body needs that rest. I remember when I was fighting the flu. I told her, I'm gonna fight this flu. I'm not sick. She said, you're sick. You can't. I'm gonna fight this. And I was like, I'm gonna sleep in the guest room. So I don't bother her. I was like, I'm gonna fight this. I prayed. I fought it, and I did everything I could. And I mean, I had the chills. I was sweating. But you know what? I didn't. Beyond that, 2 days. That's it. Everyone here at work was going a whole week. And people around, friends, stuff, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks flu. I'm like, after that week, maybe, I guess a week it was, I was fine. I was good. I went back to work. I was okay. I took a day off. Yeah, that's right. I took a day off, and that day was a rest day for me. And a lot of my coworkers who didn't rest, they decided to come in when they were sick, they ended up being out for another 4 or 5 days. I took a day of rest. I was fine those next few days. And that's my other point is that sometimes strength is just you resting to regain that strength that God has for you. People out there that who fight those wars for us, they go out there, they take every minute they can to rest. And it may not be comfortable, but they take whatever they can to get some shut eye. And they know it's important too. Why? Because they have to be alert. They have to be alert when the enemy comes and tries to ambush them, try to attack them. Same thing for us. That's why we need our rest. We have to be alert mentally, emotionally, and physically for when the devil tries and throw his tricks and trying to come at us. We have to be alert for that. So that's another thing of why we have to rely on God, not just for that strength, but so that He's a reminder of the rest that we need in our lives. One of the prime examples I love, he's probably one of my favorite guys in the Bible, is Job. Of the strength that he went through, he lost everything. If you don't know the story of Job, he lost property, family, his health was going down, his marriage was in jeopardy. He was just losing it all, and it was just, he endured a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual weakness through that time. Never once did he curse God. He stayed with God and knew that God was going to push him through. He continued to rely on God for strength. In the end, if you don't know the story, in the end, God gave him more than what he had. Why? Because he was faithful. Why? Because he continued to trust in God. Why? Because he continued to rely on God. And that's the same thing for us. Same thing for us. You may not feel it now. You may not see it now. But sometime in the near future, it could be 1 month, 2, 3, a year, 2 years. You will see what God has promised you will be revealed. But you must not dwell on God, I know that's going to come, but God, I know that you're going to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and live my life. Just like Job, he lived his life. He didn't sit around and mope around or anything like that. He just lived his life. And every time I read Job, I just think, man, I don't want that to happen to me. But I was like, I want that same strength that Job has. Amen. I want that same strength, knowing that if the devil throws something at me, I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to be in a stage of just where I'm upset or I'm sad. I want to know I'm okay. And it's crazy. There's one solution for that, Jesus. Jesus is the solution to that, to know that you're going to be okay through that. And I think I never understood it at first, but when I actually finished towards the end of John, I was thinking, because when you read Job, you start to think, man, why won't he just do what he has to do just so he can feel it right? But then at the end, when he gets all this stuff, that's why. That's why, because he knew God was going to bless him with more. And that's what God's going to do with us. I think even for Dre the other day, recently we've been seeing a lot of blessings coming. Small things, just small things. Like the other month, a couple months ago, we got one bench, and then it was sent to the wrong place, and another bench comes in. We end up with 2, and we returned 1. We didn't pay anything for 2 benches. We're like, what do we do? It just came. And then I think she got a record player for Christmas, and then a random one just got sent to us, and we're just like, what's this about, you know? But it's those small things. God is saying, you know what? I got you. You may feel like, you know, funds are tough, your things are tough. You may not feel fully at strength with where you're at in life right now, but God says, I got you. I'll take you. Grab my hand and let me take you to where I'm going to take you, knowing that you're going to be okay. God's going to be your partner at the gym that's going to help you lift those weights. God's going to be your study buddy when you need to read or whatever it is. God's going to be that person for you. That's the only person you really need, because he's going to get you through the things in this life. And every single one of you know that are here, that are listening, you know that because you're alive. You've been through something. You have a testimony. You've been through it all. And you know that is true. All you have to do is when you come through that moment in life again is that you think back to that time of life when you went through it and I got through it. And how did I get through it? God got me through it. And that's what's going to keep you getting through it now. God also tells us through the Bible. So he tells us through your life right now. That's how you know that God's strength is there when you read your life now, you being here now. But he also tells in the Bible in Isaiah 41:10. So, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. I'm going to repeat it. So do not fear, I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. This is my last point. Fear. I think last year I probably heard pastors saying, like, maybe half his message is, do not live a life in fear. And that stuck with me. Do not live in a life of fear. Live your life, but not in fear. And then this verse starts out, do not fear. Fear. And it clicked. I think it was 2 days ago, it clicked. Why do these people work so hard to have this strong mentality? Because they're fearful. They're fearful that they can't get through some point in their life. They're fearful that they may not pass this test, so that's why they're working so hard and relying on their own mental strength to get through that. Why are these people working out so hard at the gym? Because they're fearful of being weak physically to do the things in life. why are these people doing all these things? And I'm thinking, because they're living a life in fear. And it may not be true for all of them, don't get me wrong, but for some of them, there is some kind of fear that's holding them down. And for some people, they just love reading books, gaining knowledge. Some people love just working out. But some people do have that fear. And I know for me, living through my life, what stopped me from doing the things in life? It was fear, the fear of failure. But with God, there is no failure. With God, He's not going to fail you. With God, He's going to push you through so you can succeed through your life. And through all of that, God says, there is no need to complain about your weaknesses, but only rejoice that I am in the midst of it all. That's what God is telling us. And He says, I will strengthen you and help you, uphold you. That's the things that God tells us in this Bible, in the Word, that He's going to do for us. So when you feel weakness, you're able to understand God's strength. I want you to think about it. When you feel weakness, you're able to understand God's strength. Amen. Yes. So, as the band's getting ready to play their last song, my closing part is that, how do you want to start? One thing is I was blessed to start off the new year, being able to come up here and speak. So how do you want to start your new year? And, strength. Strength is something that there's a lot of things that can tie in with strength. I tied in pride, rest. And I just want you to think about all those things. I'm going to go over those points again. First point was, we like to think we are stronger on our own. You are not strong on your own. Second point, we have to understand we are only strong with Christ. Third, pride. Pride will tear us apart. And the last point is, knowing God's strength is there for us when we are weak. And know that we are given the greatest strength ever, but it is up to us to accept Him, to live with Him, and to let Him live with us. Let God's strength be what gets you through your life and not your own strength. So I have the band to play one last song. I'll come back up here to close.